And good morning. It's the Action Network's Darren Rovell, and I am joined this morning in Vegas by Derek Stevens, the owner of Circa Sports. You might know him as the owner of the Golden Gate. And this morning, Circa Sports is announcing that they are moving into the Colorado market, obviously a recent state, but a lot of action. I think 25 million bucks into the market really quickly for Colorado in its first month. Derek, thanks for joining me. You're in Vegas. You've been in Vegas with the app since, I think, last summer. What does Colorado mean to you?
Well, I think Colorado is going to be a great state. The Colorado regulators spent quite a bit of time in Las Vegas working with operators, working with the Nevada Gaming Control Board, and I think they set up Colorado in a way to be very, very successful. Remote registration, remote funding, and I think Colorado is going to be one of the top states in the country.
You said remote registration, remote funding. Colorado, people should know, there is basically like these mountain towns that have the actual casinos where no one lives, but people go. But it could be a 90% mobile state. I mean, it's really going to be, it could be as good as New Jersey from the percentage mobile. So what do you do as a brand if you're the seventh or eighth entrant in this market? How do you jump to the top?
Well, I think what Circus Sports is going to do, and I agree, I think it's going to be more than a 90% mobile market. I think it could actually be more like a 95 plus percent market in Colorado being mobile. And I think what Circus Sports is going to bring to the table is the opportunity to give consumers the ability to get some bigger wagers down, and B, I think we're going to bring some value to the table. I mean, when we open here, we're going to launch in 2 hours. When we launch, I mean, it's going to be very clear when you take a look at, for example, the Rocket Mortgage golf tournament coming up. I would tend to think we're going to have 50 to 70% of the participants that we show will have the best odds in Colorado available. So I think Circus Sports is going to carve out a niche of some great value and the ability to be able to get down some decent money.
This is one of the biggest questions here, especially as we're entering the mobile market. When you are not the first or second or third, how much do especially new gamblers look for value? Or do they say, hey, I've already been on this brand. I don't want all these bunch of apps. How do you let them know? And do you think they care about having better odds?
Yeah, I think what we've seen from some of the early states that the early adopters, customers are pretty sticky with their app. But I do think that customers are all looking for a couple of different outs. So I think it seems to be that most individuals have at least two, if not three outs on their phone, and that makes a lot of sense because people want a line shot, and on something that's not an immediate play like a golf tournament or a NASCAR race or something like that. It makes a lot of sense to go to all three of your apps, and if you like a particular player, that's how the consumer is going to get the value. So I think with Circus Sports, it's going to be able to really fill out a niche for the consumers in Colorado, and we're going to be one of those apps on their phone.
I've actually downloaded more apps in New Jersey based on live betting. So, in other words, the value to me is live, and it's not only how fast you can get it to me, it's whether you're updating something and whether I can actually get the bet in, or you're just going to have this spinning circle until the next play happens. So, how as a smaller guy do you get that live going and that speed?
Well, the element of live wagering, it really is it's a different definition for every book. We've been booking at commercials for all of our live betting. We think it provides a better opportunity for the player to make a decision. We try to minimize the number of times you get the spin on your phone, and I think that for the sports that we've been really focused in on. Currently, it's been UFC, it's been golf, and then obviously we're very focused on the four major American sports. For us, we think betting and posting in line at commercials where you have a 60-second window is more of an optimal way of making a play. I'm not really convinced at this point in time that the in-game wagering, while the game is taking place, like in a hockey game, for example, is necessarily a growth market. It certainly is at commercials, and that's what we focused in on at Circa Sports over the last year, and that's what we're going to focus in on going forward here for a little bit.
What's the sport, as everything that you've booked, what's the sport that surprised you the most in terms over the last year as far as interest?
Well, I mean, without question, I would say that would have to be something based upon what's happened with the pandemic, but it's Korean baseball. I can honestly tell you that a year ago, Korean baseball was really not on my radar. You know, obviously I know a few players that went there and whatnot, but I can tell you I only watched a couple games prior to this season, and you know, Korean baseball is a lot of fun. Obviously, more so in the past with the crazy and energetic fans and the players. But Korean baseball has been amazing for us this year. After it got to the point where there's one Korean baseball game on national TV in America every day, we're booking more on a Korean baseball game than what we did on an average Major League Baseball game at the end of last season.
Get out of here.
Stunning. Yeah.
I was going to say you're just saying that because that's the only thing available, but you're telling me it's real money.
Oh, it's real money. Now, it may be because that's the only thing available.
Obviously.
That's true. But the fact that it's on television and there's so much pent-up demand to bet on baseball, the product's been fun. The product's been great to watch. And, you know, you've got all the drama that you would see in the big leagues in Major League Baseball. So the volume on Korean baseball is the one thing that really stands out to me as a wow sport.
Let's talk about your building of the big Circa Sportsbook. 3 stories, 4,000 capacity. It was a big play for you. It still is. It's even ahead of schedule, you told me, I think. So tell me about it and tell me how you feel as an entrepreneur going against the pressure of what we're now living in.
Well, you know, this was a project that for us started a ways back. You know, we purchased the Las Vegas club in August of 2016. So this has been more than a 4.5-year project. And you know, we always said that we were going to open December of 2020. And what happened during the pandemic in the state of Nevada, the governor determined that construction was an essential function, and we were able to accelerate the construction schedule a little bit. So we're excited. We're going to open October 28th for the casino and restaurant and retail portion, and then we're going to open the hotel on the 28th of December. The real fun of this is going to be that we're going to be able to open our outdoor pool amphitheater October 28th, and we're going to be able to open the world's largest sports book, the 3-story sports book at Circa Las Vegas, October 28th. So I think later today we're going to put seating up for sale on the Circa Las Vegas website, and then next week we're going to put up for sale the seating for the outdoor pool amphitheater, and should be some great places to watch sports and get your bets in.
Hold on, what are you saying? You're putting seating up for sale? How's this working?
Well, our sports book's going to be the largest in the world. Obviously, we're going to have seats available for some of the big players, but we're also going to provide a retail component where you could buy seats, where you can buy booths, where you can have areas if you have, you know, 8 people in your group and you want to watch football on a Saturday or Sunday. So we're going to have a retail component to it as well. And that's the same thing for our outdoor pool area where, you know, you can buy a GA pass, but you can buy a chaise lounge, you can buy a poolside box, you can buy a cabana, and all that's going up for sale next week. So should be some great viewing I think some of the first major sports are going to be, the Masters coming up, and then potentially some playoff action, and then obviously football. So we're excited about hitting it here in the back half of this year, because we think the second half of 2020 potentially could be, the greatest sports 6 month period we've ever seen.
Oh, that's for sure if it happens. So how confident are you that this is still a good thing to have, given where we're at?
Well, we've tried to prepare ourselves. We're prepared with this great brick and mortar location, but at the same point, with what's happened on mobile from a sports perspective, we're prepared on mobile as well. Hopefully, the numbers across the country start getting better. I mean, it's good to see what's happening on the East Coast over the last few weeks. Now the West Coast is in the spotlight right now. So obviously, when we're talking about opening 4 months from now, we're hoping that we've got some good information that's coming out that we're able to open and get Vegas back to where it was.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot. So when Vegas returned pretty much on June 12th, it was masks optional, not for employees, but for people, for patrons. Given what's happened, do you think that was a mistake?
One thing I would say would be that when Vegas opened June 4th, remember this was about the sixth market that opened. South Dakota opened, and Arizona opened, and California opened, and Louisiana opened. So when Nevada opened, we already had 3 weeks worth of data of what was transpiring in other locations. I think, based upon the information that was available at the time, I think the Nevada Gaming Control Board did a great job. It was only a couple weeks later that the mask requirement happened for tables, and then last week the mask requirement happened for everyone in the state. So obviously, if you look back, in 2020 hindsight, you might say, yeah, we should have opened it, June 2nd with masks for everyone. But I don't think that's really a Nevada thing. I mean, that's something that occurred, across the country, and frankly, data was different 4 weeks ago. Now I think it's much easier, because 4 weeks ago, if you would have had a masking requirement, you would have had a lot more of a problem. Nowadays, you walk into a casino and you walk into a grocery store, everybody's got a mask on. So I think the customers have changed quite a bit in the last 3 weeks, but I think society's changed quite a bit in the last 3 weeks, certainly on the West Coast.
My final question is, what do you think the ability of sports betting is to bounce back compared to other sectors of business? Obviously, people are probably making, maybe 20 to 30% less. They've spent a little less, maybe not going out to dinners and bars, but they've also probably over-indexed in boredom. So how do you feel about the ability for sports betting in particular to bounce back, and how fast can it return to its former form?
Well, I think sports betting is gonna bounce back quickly. Assuming that we're able to get baseball going on July 23rd, I'm assuming that NHL can figure out these locations and get it going. But I think there is such pent up demand for the major sports, and sports betting now with the mobile access, it's a perfect outlet, with social distancing in mind. So I would expect the second half of this year to blow away all records. In every state, you're going to see the most amount of wagering we've ever seen. I think the boredom element, like you said, is that's something that's out there, and I think we've seen it with what's transpired with betting on KBO and betting on some of the alternate sports. So I think sports potentially could have the largest bounce back really of any industry. And when you think about, there's a lot of fans that won't be going to the games. That's just more eyeballs watching, and people are still going to want to make a wager, whether they're at the big house, whether they're at a big college football stadium or not. They're gonna watch the game. You're going to want to have a little action on it.
All right, I lied because I forgot a question that I needed to ask you. So you guys last year decided to kind of be the first, bringing back the tradition from the offshore books to Vegas of opening lines in college football and the NFL. Uh, obviously there's some risk to it. You can massively miss. You got some limits, and you got guys standing there at your book. One, was that a profitable venture? And two, if you weren't going for profit, did it succeed according to your goals?
Well, I think that the fact that Matt Metcalf and his team were able to be the originators. I mean, it was a pretty amazing thing that they were able to post college football lines, earlier than anyone in the world. I mean, to be the originator is something. Um, it's also intimidating when you see that line of these sharps lined up at the window, ready to get down, with fistful of cash. And these guys are really smart guys, really brilliant guys. But that kind of matches up with our model. We're not trying to back away from these guys. We want to let them take a shot at the opening line. And from our perspective, we believe that 2 hours into it, the line is a higher quality line. These guys have bet into it, and if these professional bettors make a little bit of money, that's worthwhile to us because we feel that we've got a better line that's going to last throughout the rest of the week. So there's some value that gets created. So I'm happy the sharp guys came out ahead on this because we felt that over the course of the next 6 days, we ended up with a sharper and better line for everybody else. So I thought it was a great thing.
So you're going to continue to do it?
Absolutely.
All right, there you have it. Derek Stevens, the owner of the D, Golden Gate, Circa Sports, entering Colorado today, opening in Vegas, the biggest sports book on October 28th, right?
Correct.
Thank you so much for joining us. You're a true hustler out there, and we love speaking to you.
I appreciate that, Darren. Make sure everybody takes a look at these odds on this Rocket Mortgage. I think that's where you're going to see Circa Sports stand out. Great to talk to you guys.
Always got to get the last sell in. That's why I love you.